This episode of the Buffalonian Podcast is brought to you by the Buffalonian division of the Castsource Podcast Network, a podcast network built by Buffalonians for Buffalonians, featuring the Wings with Blue Cheese podcast and the Buffalonian Podcast, with more shows on the way very soon. Find these shows wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, or simply visit our website posted in the episode description. Now, without further ado, let's get into the Bills, Sabres, hot takes, and more. The Buffalonian Podcast. All right. Let's go.
We are back with the Buffalonian Podcast. I'm Joe Callie, and as always, I'm joined by Dom Loss. We have last Friday night playing because it's Friday. So, you know, you got to love it. Last Friday night, Katy Perry. Dom, how you feeling? It's Friday. The Thursday Night Football happened last night. The season has begun. Catches were not made. It was – I personally, if we picked on – whenever we filmed Tuesday or Wednesday, did we pick that game?
No, I would have probably went Lions, but
Same with me.
I'm just gonna pretend I'm 0-1 because I technically didn't get the pick in. But without Kelsey going, but honestly, the game was a little bit different than I thought, because I thought without Kelsey going and without Chris Jones, I actually thought the Lions were gonna at least score some more points and maybe make it a little like a 4-6 point win. But to only win by 1 and score 14 points. I don't know how you feel about either team going out of that one, to be honest.
I don't either. I would have picked the Lions too. I picked it on another, show I do here at school. So I guess I'll go 0-1 on the pod, but really I'm 1-0 as in actuality. But I don't know. Is it safe to assume at this point that the Chiefs are pitiful without Travis Kelce? No, I'm kidding. We're not going to go there. I mean, he's a big part to their offense for sure. Like, that was a big reason they didn't have those third down conversions a lot last night. They didn't have those big, slot plays that normally blow up the defense. It was Jarek, or who's dropping them? I forget. Jarek McKinnon? No, it wasn't McKinnon. Who was it?
Kadarius Toney.
Kadarius Toney, yes.
Right, more. I mean,
Butterfinger.
I think it comes down to, first off, I think Mike Tirico saying that this game is an asterisk because Kelsey and Jones didn't play is probably the worst. I don't know if there's going to be a worse moment in the NFL than from a play-by-play guy than that, because at the end of the day, the Chiefs don't want to pay Chris Jones what Chris Jones wants, so it's the Chiefs' fault, per se, that Chris Jones isn't playing. And Travis Kelce gets injured, and listen, man, when he's a 34-year-old tight end and the rest of your options after Travis Kelce are pretty mediocre to bad, that's bad roster management. That's also on you. So saying, oh, it's an asterisk because their second and third best player, but because their second and third best player didn't play and they don't have, honestly, I don't even know about Chris Jones because the defense gave only 14 points, but looking at it from an offensive perspective, like the Chiefs' inability to develop receivers and get solid production from their young receivers is a reason why they lost the game. I mean,
right.
That's on you guys. Like, I mean, you can't expect Travis Kelce at age 34 to do everything. And with him being out, him actually now even missing a game, you saw that, like, who is he really going to throw to? Like, MVS is a solid wide receiver, but he's more of like a third option than a real 1 or 2. And as much as people want to hype up Kadarius Toney for his potential, like, he was bad, and Sky Moore couldn't get open last night. So,
yeah.
Noah Gray, is that your number one option? It's just, I know the Chiefs. Listen, the Chiefs are going to be fine. This is an NFC AFC game, so it's not going to have massive implications on conference tiebreakers. But at the same time, I think there's some real problems with the Chiefs, like paying Jawan Taylor $20 million at right tackle, who is now false starting every play, who's now probably going to get exposed next week because
that was the problem with the Bucs. He false started quite a bit. That was
the Jags. He was with the Jags. But you're right.
Jags.
But then they got Donovan Smith from the Bucs, who was over the hill last year, and he's their left tackle. So that's a situation that may not get fixed. Receiver, they're probably going to add someone, but with what cap space is kind of the question.
They go and get
with
Mike
Bills.
Evans. They're going to
Yeah,
grab
I
Mike
mean,
Evans.
probably. I mean, they probably will look into it, but why would the Bucks trade him right before the season? I don't know the NFC. We'll talk about the NFC South when we make our predictions, but that's a wide open division too. So I don't know. The Chiefs are definitely in a weird spot of they feel like if Mahomes doesn't have a great game, they're beatable. And it felt like in years past, Mahomes could be good or solid, but they still would have Tyreek Hill, they still would have Travis Kelce, they would still have a trustworthy offensive line where they could run the ball. I didn't feel that. I felt last night it was a situation where the Lions' defensive line dominated the game, and Mahomes didn't really have that many options to throw to. And Mahomes wasn't I don't think top tier Mahomes either. So I think all those together, you get a kind of mediocre night if you're a Chiefs fan.
Yeah, I mean, I like to see the Lions win. Dan Campbell, one of my favorite coaches in the league. Did you see his halftime interview he did? He was like, he was screaming. His voice was gone in the post game too. It was wild. But yeah, I mean, it's like it's nice to see the Lions though. They gave the ball back to the Super Bowl champions by going for it on fourth down in that situation, which I think I would have done too. But throwing it when your run game was working very well, I didn't really. I don't know. What were your
I don't want
thoughts
to
on
talk
that?
about David Montgomery.
Huh?
That dude's a snake.
Yo, you wouldn't have trusted him with it?
Dude's on my list. I have Jahmyr Gibbs in fantasy. My man got 21 carries to Gibbs' 7. Like, yeah, makes
Gibbs
sense.
had some good carries, though.
I'm just saying, Gibbs had what, 7 carries, 6 yards per carry, had like multiple missed tackles, and I'm out here watching David Montgomery just power through a defensive tackle for 3 yards every carry. Like, like this is what I don't know. This is why fantasy football makes me.
Did you hear
so
Collinsworth last night?
upset.
Was that getting on your nerves at all?
I had him on mute, to be honest. I didn't.
Well, there was a lot where Mahomes threw that pick six that bounced out of Kadarius Toney's hands or whatever, and Collinsworth was just like, "Oh, this is what happens. A perfect throw right into the hands, bounces free because the receiver didn't catch it." Like he kept saying, "Perfect throw by the perfect," you know what I mean? Like perfect spot. I'm like,
I mean, there's a lot of drops last night, and again, it goes down to your talent at receiver is very thin. I mean, you can make a case that it is. I mean, I can't think of one off the top of my head that's better. Like their wide receiver room is awful.
yeah,
Like Travis Kelce's a tight end. Their wide receiver room is just plain awful. At least they had Juju last year, who's a wide receiver too on a good team. So like, and obviously years prior they had Tyreek. So, and then they even had Tyreek and Sammy Watkins. So it's kind of unbelievable that they've kind of their best wide receiver is MVS, who's 3. But yeah, I mean, as a Bills fan, you love to see it because I think the Chiefs are still going to be winning the division. And well, it's not a conference tiebreaker because it was an NFC game, but I mean, it may had they play each other, so it really doesn't matter that much. But for them to have a loss on the record, Bills start at 1-0. That's a game at hand already. But I mean, I guess we shall see. I mean, the Bills the last couple of years have had real opportunities early in the season. They were ahead of the Chiefs in the standings, and then kind of have that slump. It was weird last year because the Chiefs only lost 3 games, and so did the Bills. So that was but like the year before in 21, big reason why the Bills lost in the divisional round, my guys, is because they lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars 9-6 and blew the tiebreaker against the Chiefs. If they would have been the 2 seed and the Chiefs would have been the 3 seed, they would have played each other in Buffalo, and I think they would have won the game. It's my complete biased opinion, but yeah, I'm happy to have the NFL season back. It was just a very weird game. I think I don't know. I think these guys played their starters in the preseason. It felt very sloppy at times. Like, I mean,
it wasn't really polished. It just
Lions the drops we witnessed. I thought the Lions offense was really. I mean, it was a great game from Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator for the Chiefs. So, I guess if that is anything for the defense, looks pretty solid against a good offense. But I said to talk some Bills because I'm done out of Chiefs talk.
Yeah, no, that sounds good.
At the end of the day, I am just happy that they lost, and it just shows all those people all off season. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, they'll figure it out. I'm gonna swear as much as I ever had on this podcast. Sometimes shit is just shit, man. Like you can't. Yeah, you have a great chef, great equipment, great, great line, great service. Sometimes what you got is what you got, and can't
Yeah.
make it any better. So
Well,
I
also
expect them to make it better throughout the season, but right now it's a tough luck.
yeah, I mean, just my last note, and then I'll introduce some Bills talk for us. But they also in the offseason they lost Eric Bieniemy as well, so I mean that might have an impact on them as well. So I mean,
They still don't trust Patrick Mahomes to do a QB sneak too because they're
no,
just so cute. I
yeah,
just don't understand. Okay, I understand why they didn't want him to do a QB sneak because he almost like got his knee taken off of his own body against Denver, but a couple years back. But to do a reverse is just classic Andy Reid of doing like just hurting your own self and being too fancy for really no particular reason. But
yeah. I mean, all right, enough of the Chiefs. Okay, they lost.
yeah, this is a Bills
21
podcast, Joe. We're literally called Betting on the Bills.
I know. Presented by the Buffalonian podcast. And by the way, it's good to be back for Betting on the Bills. I remember if you want to check out the most recent edition of Betting on the Bills, it's us saying the season's over after the Bengals game. Immediate reaction. I think we did that. Didn't we do that right after the game ended? We got on here and did it.
I think it might have been the Monday after. I think we gave ourselves like 24-ish hours.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. No, I just remember it was doom and gloom. So anyway, we're on to bigger, better things this season. The Bills are playing Monday night in MetLife. As I've mentioned before, I'll be there. So we might get a special report from New York City. We'll see if we can get that going. But I guess let's preview the game here. Do you know the spread and the money line? I got to get it up here. And see, it was 1.5 last time I saw. The Bills were favored by 1.5 points, and the money line was 110 or something like that, something along those lines.
Well, currently, according to ESPN, the Bills have a 57% chance of winning. So that's cool. It's currently 2.5, and the over/under is 45.5.
Okay. Would you take? I know you would probably take the under. I have a feeling you're going to say under here. What is your?
Josh lights it up on Monday Night Football. He lives for those moments. Except, I'm not. You know what? I'm gonna go. We're gonna try and go up hot without mentioning that certain game. But
yeah, no. So let's forego that.
If you know, you know.
Yeah, if you know, you know. I'm gonna say it again. So here we go. What are your general what's your prediction going into this game? I mean, I'll throw mine in there after yours, score prediction wise. But I mean, do you think it's going to be close? Do you think it's going to be defensive, or is it going to be an offensive slingshot battle?
I don't have the specific number of what the first half over under is, but I would take the under in that. I think this is going to be very similar to the second game when the Jets played the Bills in Buffalo. It was 7-0 at halftime, I want to say. I think the Bills scored right at Dawson Knox had a touchdown right before the break. I think it's going to be kind of a slugfest, kind of feel it out kind of game. I think week one is always like this, pretty much. I mean, look what happened to the Bills last year in week one. I know it was a dominating win, but the first half, it was a 10-10 game. They had, I think at that point, they had 3 turnovers, if I'm not mistaken. I think they had the fumble from James Cook and 2 Josh picks.
Yeah, it was James Cook's first touch as an NFL player. It was a fumble. I remember that.
I think that should show you that the first half of the first game is always a little weird. I mean, look what happened to the Steelers game that we went to a couple of years ago too. That was a game that the Bills kind of didn't have a great game and they lost. And so I would think it's similar to those type of games in the first half. I think the offense is going to have some struggles, but I think the defense I think they have very good matchups across the board. I just want to say I was completely right about the Christian Benford thing. I never switched my pick. I'm very proud of that. And then obviously Tyrell Bernard, Cybo. So
yeah,
nice 3 for 3 there. But to make a long story short, I think it's going to be a very competitive game throughout. I think the Bills offensively will make the proper adjustments. So I think it's going to go under the 45. I think a 24-20 type game. I think it's going to be a tight game. I think it's going to be like 10-7 and halftime.
You think it's hitting 44? You know how many people who bet the over are going to start throwing their phones at the wall if it's 44?
I mean, I think that's what it is. I mean, I always blank on what the second game score was, but that was like 20-10 or something, and the first game was 20-17. So I don't expect anything much different. I think these are 2 very good defenses, and you have Aaron Rodgers, this is his first real action. So I think that's against a really good defense that Aaron Rodgers has struggled with. I mean, he didn't have a great game Josh's rookie year.
Last year?
well, Josh's rookie year when they won 19-0 with the Packers won. Like, he wasn't that great in that game. That was kind of Josh's sucked because he was a rookie. And then last year, as you know, I mean, what was it, 10 or 7? I was 17, I think, 27-17. I want to say something like
I believe
that. But
so. Yeah,
that was another game where Rodgers was not great. So Rodgers has not been great against the Bills. And I mean, 2014 you could go back, but that wasn't McDermott. But I think his struggles against the Bills will kind of continue, especially with kind of the offensive line to the Jets. I think would really concern me, especially with the depth of the Bills D line. I mean, that's really what I think. I think that's where the game is going to be won and lost. Really, is the trenches. If the Bills can dominate the offensive line of the Jets, I don't see how the Jets will be able to move the ball because, listen, Garrett Wilson's a nice receiver. After that, it's a massive drop off. I mean, Alan Lazard. I mean, Randall Cobb, like that. They don't have great hands. Obviously, they have Breece Hall and Devin Cook. If Devin Cook's playing, he hasn't really practiced that much. But and Breece Hall's, kind of, we'll see how much he really goes. But I think if the Bills can dominate the offensive line of the Jets and make Aaron Rodgers have to drop back and throw the ball a lot, I think that will lead the Bills defense to a lot of success and cause a lot of struggles for the Jets offense.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you. I think it's going to be a good old-fashioned slugfest. I think the Bills win it, absolutely. I hope they do. Otherwise, it's going to be a rough walk for me out of the stadium. Especially a lot of the Jets fans have come out of the woodwork as soon as
Rough pot on Tuesday then too.
What'd you say?
So the rough pot on Tuesday. That would be a 12-hour turnaround for us. That would be tough.
Yeah, you're telling me. So I guess, I mean, I would probably put the score at like, I'm trying to think, what's like an acceptable score, because I know the Bills are going to win, but I don't want to say like it's going to be close, like 38-35 or anything like that, because I don't think it's breaching.
I think the hard thing about this is that like the over-under is 45.5, and I think that's giving maybe too much respect to the fact of this is. I mean, I still think Rodgers is a borderline elite quarterback and could still be an elite quarterback.
Yeah.
I think this is giving a little bit too much respect to the fact that Rodgers and Allen are two very good quarterbacks. So, like, you would expect two very good quarterbacks to, when they play, having every time someone's on the field snap, it's an elite quarterback touching the ball. I think that's where, I think the over-under is, like, way too high. I mean, compared to, I don't know, these are two elite defenses, and Allen has struggled the last year against the Jets, and I said last year Rodgers struggled against the Bills. So I don't know. I when you're saying I said it'll score, like even when I was like 24-20, I was like 24 points is kind of. I thought that to myself. I was like, man, 3 touchdowns. That's. I don't know. I just people expecting this to be. I mean, listen, we could be way off, so I don't want to like expose myself now. But
right, yeah.
I just have the feeling this is going to be kind of a slow, maybe even as a Bills fan, boring game.
Yeah, I would honestly, ending score, I think it might be even lower. I think the Bills get 3 touchdowns and the Jets get 2. I think 21-14.
No field goals. I also think
Bass is 3 for 3 on extra points, though. I will say
I would figure that to be true. But I think for the Bills, it just comes down to how are you going to game plan around Quinn Williams, because he kills the Bills. They have very good young edges, so how is Spencer Brown going to hold up against, is it Jermaine Johnson? I mean, Bryce Huff's the guy that injured Josh last year. So I think the Bills, I mean, I said it on the trenches for the other side. It's the same thing for the Jets. Like if their D-line causes havoc, like it's going to be a problem. But I think the key X factor, and a lot of people are saying this, and it's 100% factual, is like Dalton Kincaid over the middle of the field is going to be a matchup issue for teams.
Yeah.
And this is kind of a game where it is kind of a Dalton Kincaid game because the Jets have a very good defensive line.
You have to make some quick passes.
It's kind of like, what are the Jets willing to sacrifice? Are they willing to sacrifice their spy on Josh Allen to cover Dalton Kincaid, or are they willing to put a safety down and have a safety cover Dalton Kincaid? And then all of a sudden you only have one safety back, and that allows a downfield shot to Gabe Davis, Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
that kind of thing. I mean,
Josh likes to take those downfield shots too, so
we
he
know
doesn't hesitate.
all too well. But I mean, the Jets have elite corners, so it's going to be interesting how they match. I think we'll know very early in the game, even though I think it'll be a slow start, of the importance of Dalton Kincaid, because I think he's going to get a lot of snaps, and he should be a real difference maker, especially we talked about. While the Bills were very good offensively, it felt like they had moments where like they were converting a lot of third and longs, or they weren't kind of keeping on schedule. The Rams game is a perfect example of it. Of they just paper cut the Rams to death, and then they eventually took their deep shots. It felt like maybe if Allen's injury, they couldn't do that anymore. But I would like to see a return of that, of just like taking what the defense gives you, let Dalton Kincaid catch the ball in space against a linebacker, move Diggs around in the slot. Gabe Davis.
I think that's where Dorsey was at his best before Allen got injured, because he was. You're absolutely right. The game would start out with these short passes over the middle, just slicing and dicing. Like the defense didn't know what hit them, and then we'd get a 60-yard bomb down on the numbers, and they wouldn't be ready for it because they'd be playing shallow to cover these little passes. And I think you're absolutely right. When Allen's UCL injury occurred, that's why on 3rd and 5 they started throwing deep, because I think it hindered his ability to really snap it over the middle in these short little passes and
snap it accurately. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he could whip it, but the accuracy is the question there. And listen, I mean, I've heard people worried about his elbow and all this stuff. If Brock Purdy tore his and he's playing week 1, Allen strained his, he's absolutely going to be playing week 1 and totally fine. He rested. He's looked all right in the preseason. I mean, the offensive line was the issue against the Steelers, but Allen's looked great in practice. He's throwing just fine. There's nothing to be worried about there. And I think this is going to be a 21-14 game between the past 4-time MVP, who I think is now on the upside of his age, and he's going to start feeling it, right? It's kind of like, Tom Brady last season versus the season before, like how Rodgers in Green Bay the season before last. When was he the MVP? 2 seasons before that?
The last 2 years before, in 21 and 20. So
okay, so 21 and 20. So last year was the 22 season. So we saw that MVP season from Rodgers, and then last year kind of a fall off. And yeah, you could argue that was the talent around him as well. But I mean, you've heard him say too, he only wants to run this for 2 more years and then hand it back off to Zach Wilson.
I don't care about that, but it's also the fact of like the Jets also aren't super aren't way more talented than the Packers were, other than Garrett Wilson's probably the best weapon. But I don't know. I mean, I think Matt LaFleur is a way better play caller than Nathaniel Hackett. I think everyone would agree on that take. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Did you watch any primetime games last year with the Broncos? Yeah, I think everyone agreed with that take. So I think
I would call dang. That's tough. But no, I think this game comes down to who dominates the trenches on both sides. And also just for the Bills, it's like, don't shoot yourselves in the foot. We saw you talked about the Steelers. What happened against the Steelers? They gave up a huge punt return. They
penalties.
Gave so many penalties.
It was second and like 34. That doesn't happen unless you're playing Madden. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, a big run on a missed tackles. So I think that's, if the Bills can eliminate explosive plays against them and make the Jets, I just don't think the Jets can. I just don't believe. I hate to be like Leslie Frazier here, but I just don't believe the Jets can drive 12, 13 plays down the field and not screw up. I just don't believe that. Now, I'm not saying you can't be aggressive towards them and like send pressure, but I just truly don't believe the Jets have it in them to be consistent for 12, 13 straight plays against this defense.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think if you're watching it on TV, you're going to see an Aaron Rodgers hissy fit on the sideline at some point. I think that's a guarantee. If there were betting odds on that, plus 150, like nothing. Like, it's right there. It's right in front of you. Take it. I think he's going to get frustrated because you've seen him in the preseason too. I mean, preseason's preseason. Yeah, the Jets look good in the preseason, right? But like we talked about, I don't know. You can't really judge the season off the preseason. You're still not running the season playbook. So I don't know.
I would say this. Just look for people that are watching the game, maybe not as the casual. Just look at this line of scrimmage. Who's winning the line of scrimmage consistently is going to be the big thing. For the Bills to have success offensively, how are the Bills using even just you don't even have to say Dalton Kincaid per se, but like how are the Bills short passing game over the middle, and are the Bills shooting themselves in the foot? I
Right.
really believe if the Bills just avoid making really stupid mistakes, they consistently just keep it turning offensively and dominate the line of scrimmage, they'll be fine. Which is why I think the player of the game will be Groot. I think Groot. I think I'm gonna go off the board here. I think a little bit off the board because I don't. Well, I don't know. I wouldn't say he's like a top 10 Bill, right? I mean, I would say.
Oh my God, yeah.
Was
I
he?
mean,
I don't know. I think I would say
his
yes,
edge
but
rushing
like,
ability itself just does it. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
he's probably in the top 10. He's not top 5, but like I'm
No.
going off the board a little bit. The odds may not be too high on that, but I think with Mekhi Becton with his knee surgery, and I just don't think that guy can move at all at right tackle. And Groot lines up against him. Groot's a dominant run defender. I really liked how he looked at all training camp. Year 3, I think this is a year where he gets double-digit sacks as long as he doesn't injure that. I think that ankle injury bothered him a little bit. So if he could stay healthy, I think Groot's going to have a sack and a forced fumble in this game. I think he'll have a big game for the
I like
boys.
it. I love it. I want some more of it. Come on, Tim McGraw. I have to say, I'm going to give two players. One's kind of facetious and one's like legit. All right, you ready for this? Referees are going to be one because the amount of holding calls that are going to be called trying to protect Aaron Rodgers on like their offensive line. Done. They're back. They're 2nd and 34. They're going to know how it feels. So
I don't think they're going to call a lot of holding penalties.
No, you don't think so?
I just think the NFL doesn't care about the NFL. Only if it's really egregious will call it. But
it's going to be egregious when Greg Russo's getting horse collared because he's breaking through the line. Come on. All right. They're going to call it. I'm telling you. Watch. And anyway, my true player of the game is going to be Gabe Davis.
Okay.
I think he's going to break out. He's already broken out, but I think that ankle injury last year did a lot more to him than what people are letting on. And I think he's going to be downfield on some of these. Like you said, if they slice and dice later in the game, he's going to make some big catches down the field. And Kincaid's going to be that slicing and dicing along with Diggs. And even Knox, I think, could be a part of that as well. I would like to see him get more involved in the receiving game, especially 2 years ago. He was a big part of it, and it was very successful. Dawson drops went into nothing. He went into Dawson Knox, So I think last year he was disgustingly underutilized, and I think he should be utilized in the passing game as well in the tight end spot. Kincaid's a slot receiver, okay? I'm just saying that right now. He's listed as a tight end, but he's a slot receiver. So you're going to have Knox, Kincaid, Diggs, and Davis, and I think Davis is going to be that deep shot guy towards the end of the game that really just puts salt in the eyes of the Jets. And I like it.
I do think this is a big game for Gabe because I think playing against DJ Reed or Sauce Gardner, those two corners, they have a legit number 2 corner who's very good in DJ Reed. So he's matched up probably against one of them either game. And if he shows up, that's great tape for free agency, for that contract. So yeah, I mean, he's under a lot of pressure this game because this is this is a tough matchup for wide receiver 2 against this defense. So
yeah, I do have one more thing to say real quick.
Ready?
I do think Matt Milano gets one folding chair sack on Aaron Rodgers. I think he busts through on a linebacker blitz. Boom. Done. I think we see a Mike White 2.0 back there this season. So that's my piece on that. So,
all right, well, are we transitioning to the awards?
Yeah, might as well, right? I think we're good on the Bills Jets. Let us know your predictions. You can email us at buffalonianpod17@gmail.com. We're working on that. It's a long email name, so I'm gonna try and shorten that up for ease of access. Tweet at us at the Buffalonian_. Reach out on Instagram at the Buffalonian Pod. Just let us know what you think. Football season's here. It's exciting. Sunday's going to be a good day. It already was a great game last night. Not a great game, but it was nice to watch a real football game on TV that actually matters. And Monday night, big game for the Bills. So let us know what you think. And yeah, as Dom mentioned, we're getting into some NFL awards here. So I'll let you kick it off. We'll start off with MVP at the end of the season. How does that sound?
You want to start from MVP, or are we gonna go comeback player to the rookies to the?
All right, we'll do comeback player of the year because I think it's a layup. I think DeMar Hamlin is the comeback.
All right, so then we could skip that one because I think both those have DeMar, and there's really no true analysis that has to be made on that. It's pretty common sense self-explanatory. So I'll go. Do I want to go offensive rookie of the year first or defensive rookie of the year first? I'll go defensive rookie of the year first. I'm gonna be pretty chalky on both picks. I'll just make them both. I think Bijan Robinson's going to be the offensive rookie of the year, and I think Will Anderson Jr. is going to be the defensive rookie of the year. It's very chalky. I will say this though, defensively, yeah, I like Will Anderson's game. I think he looked really good in the preseason game, especially against the Dolphins. I know the Dolphins kind of pulled their starters ish, but really like how he looked. I feel like it's really there isn't really a top corner that scares me. Like Witherspoon's a nice cornerback for the Seahawks, but I think he's also banged up. So it's really an edge. It really feels like it's either a cornerback or a defensive lineman that usually wins this kind of award, and I think he'll be the best defensive lineman this year.
Okay, I agree with you with Will Anderson. That's my defense. That was my pick. Okay, but I'm going to disagree with you on the offensive side. Although I think it will be Bijan Robinson. Like I can definitely see that happening. I think the talk of the offseason a lot has been on our boy, DK, Dalton Kincaid, Donkey Kong.
Oh my God.
And I'm going to pick Dalton Kincaid. And I know that might be like, oh, he's just a Bills homer kind of a pick, right? I think he's going to make a bigger difference to this team than everyone already thinks he's going to. I think he's going to be a standout. He's going to be Kelsey 2.0. Like he's going to be a difference maker on this team that gets them over that hump in the playoffs. So I got to say, I think it's going to be Dalton Kincaid. And I know that might be a homer pick, but I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's got some juice behind it, you know?
I think there's definitely some potential because he has an elite quarterback. He has an elite scheme. He's on an elite team. So I mean, just 3 straight elites right there. And he's really good. And he probably will have opportunity. It's I think that's a solid pick because especially in this rookie class, it's interesting. There's really not a quarterback that I feel like has great chance. Like Bryce Young, I think is going to struggle. Anthony Richardson, I think is going to struggle. Like
Anthony Richardson's a project though. Like that's
like the top 3 quarterbacks. Like 2 of them are on. Well, no, I think really all 3 of them are on bad teams, and I think that doesn't lead to great success for production stats. So I think all 3 of those guys could have pretty messy years, and there's not really a wide receiver. I mean, Zay Flowers looks nice. Quentin Johnston looks nice. Jackson Fitzgerald, I know he's banged up, but maybe he eats in being wide receiver 3 in Seattle. But there's a reason why those guys won the 20s, so maybe they don't have big years. So I could see Kincaid. I think Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, that's another option.
Win it. But as a fantasy owner of Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, who I already commented, who I despise already in week 1, day 1, first game of the year, already very anti David Montgomery. What concerns me about my Bijan pick, though, I will say this though. Will Anderson, the only thing that concerns me is if Jalen Carter goes off for the Eagles on that stacked D line. I think he's like the top option against me. But Bijan, like Kincaid could have a big year. I guess one of the wide receivers and Gibbs. Like what concerned me for Bijan is Tyler Geo had a 1,000-yard season last year. He's still there. Cordero Patterson is still there. And Arthur Smith is a weird play caller. Like we see it with Kyle Pitts' tight end. Now he does love running the ball, so I think that does bode well for me. And I think Bijan's just a stud. So I think I'm good there, but I don't know. That would concern me.
Yeah. I mean, I think 2 solid picks there. We'll make a list after the show. And we'll keep it updated. But you want what do we got? What do you want to do next? I'll leave it to you.
Defensive Player of the Year.
Defensive Player of the Year. Okay. All right.
You want to go first? I'll let you go.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it for a second. Defensive Player of the Year. I'll let you go first. I got to ponder this for a minute.
Myles Garrett. I've been calling it for years. I think he should be a chance to win it. Falling short. T.J. Watt, Nick Bosa last year. This year, the Browns finally have an interior defensive line. They added Zadarian Smith opposite him, who had a really good year for the Vikings. So I think that takes some pressure and, a lot makes the offensive line of the opposing teams not have to just singly focus on Myles Garrett. There's other guys, other weapons on that D-line. I also think behind them, like the back 7 of that team is very solid as well. I think the Browns could have a very good defense. So I think with the new additions and all that, I think Myles Garrett eats and has like an 18-sack season and finally gets, I feel like he's been one of the best edges, but he's never been like the best edge. I think this is the year where it's no doubt at the end of the year he's the best edge in football and takes home the most coveted defensive prize in football, the Defensive Player of the Year.
All righty. Sounds good. I love the announcer voice there. We gotta make some clips and use more of that. So this guy just got paid. He got the money. Okay. Nick Bosa, defensive player.
Back to back.
Back to back. I think he runs it back. There's no, especially with the money he got. I think he's even more motivated. I think he's hungry. San Francisco was so close last year. They rallied around Mr. Irrelevant, and they just lost for injury's sake. I mean, we were relying on Christian McCaffrey there at the end of the game for quarterback, and I think the defense did all they could to keep that game close, but they just didn't have the offense. So I think he's hungry. He wants to go to the championship. Also, if we're doing our Super Bowl picks today, he's involved. But did we already do that, or did we?
Not yet, but if you want to get,
are you ready for that, or would you rather wait till?
We'll wait till the end. We gotta finish the awards, pick
I know
division
that.
winners, and then do that. But
you know, he might be a factor in my Super Bowl prediction. But yeah, Nick Bosa, Defensive Player of the Year, all the way.
All right, so Offensive Player of the Year, a lot of options.
I got one. Again, call me a homer, okay?
No, you can't do like okay.
What? You want me to say Travis Kelce?
No, he's not gonna win it.
He's not gonna win it. I truthfully think after all of the controversy, after all of the issues they've had, he's had in the offseason, I think it's gonna be Diggs, especially if the Bills make a deep run into the playoffs and maybe even the Super Bowl. There's no question in my mind.
It's a regular season award.
Yeah, but still, like it helps the voting. They
already vote, I think, by the time the playoffs happen. I'm pretty sure.
Well, still, if they're producing and Diggs is producing, he's an easy pick for Offensive Player of the Year.
I think it's going to be Justin Jefferson again. Call me a chalk pick, but until someone, I just think this guy is just far and away the best wide receiver in football. I think Tyreek Hill, if Tua is healthy all the way, has a really good chance as well. But I just think especially if adding Jordan Addison, so I think he's better than Adam Thielen was last year. So and having Hawkinson all full season will open more stuff up for Jefferson. So I just think he's going to have another 1,800 yard, 10 touchdown, 100 catch season and run away with the thing again. But before we do MVP, we had to give some love to the coaches. Coach of the Year,
Dan Campbell. I like it. Pick. I think he's got the fire under him. The Lions win week 1. Yeah, kind of an ugly game, I guess, but I think he's got that team morale completely turned around. I think he's Coach of the Year. If they make the playoff, if they go and they have a winning record at the end of the season, a good record at the end of the season, he's Coach of the Year. Absolutely.
I think it's going to be Matt LaFleur.
You think with Jordan Love? You think he's going to win Coach of the Year?
One of mine. I think they're going to shock some people and win that division. And
I
think
that.
Jordan Love is gonna. I have Jordan Love in fantasy. I have Christian Watson fantasy. I'm kind of buying. The Packers have kind of gone under the radar now this offseason because they finally got rid of Rodgers. I think they're gonna surprise some people and win double-digit games. I think LaFleur. So going to the most valuable player. You want me to go first?
Yeah.
I think
I know who you're gonna say. I might have the same person. So let it rip.
The winner of the most valuable player in 2023. Will be.
Is it? Wait, question. Does he still happen to be a Madden cover athlete? A Madden cover athlete?
Potentially.
Okay. All right. Let it rip.
2-time MVP, Lamar Jackson. I'm going off the board.
Oh my God!
I'm going off the board.
Have the same one.
Listen, I had Mahomes last year. I was right on it. I think sneak peek to the division. I think the Ravens are going to win that division. And I think with their new offensive coordinator and new weapons, I think Lamar is going to be healthy and he's going to have his best season since 2019. And I think he will get back into the discussion as a legit top 5, top 3 quarterback. I think Lamar is getting overhated. He's got that contract, no distraction this offseason, finally got paid. Got the weapons he wants. Got OBJ, Mark Andrews. I know he's a little banged up, but Zay Flowers, solid offensive line, new offensive coordinator, new wrinkles. I think is going to be huge if Tomlin can, replacing Greg Roman. So, yeah, man. I'm not going to be a homer. I'm not going to pick Josh because if Josh wins, I could be happy. But I don't think Mahomes will win back to back. But I think there will be what? Would he be the third player to win 2 MVPs that's still playing? Because Rodgers and Mahomes, I can't remember if there's anyone else on the top of my head. Because Brady just retired.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
I think you're right.
Yep. There you go. Lamar, baby. He won't be unanimous. I'll say that one. That'll be different from 2019. But think Lamar's going to win MVP.
Okay. Well, I think you know where my head's at here.
I really thought you were going to go Lamar when you said man cover athlete. I was like, dang. This is tough.
No, I think he'll get injured again this season, truthfully. I mean, I hope he doesn't, but it's been the trend for the past few years, unfortunately. Huntley's played a lot more than he has on the Ravens. But anyway, I think the Madden cover athlete from this season is going to be the MVP. If they're number one in the AFC, if they're going to the playoffs with the 1 seed, and they beat the Bengals, they beat the Chiefs, like there's no question in my mind that it's not going to be Allen, especially if he's at the top of the pyramid making it all happen. No question, it's him. He's got the votes. He will have the votes if that happens. Like there's no question about it.
Sure. Listen, I want my pick to be wrong, man. I want Josh to get that MVP, but I'm going off the board. I think there's a scenario where Lamar wins MVP. I think it's really a quarterback-driven award, and I think
it is.
He's one of those guys that's underratedly like. There's only like a few people that I think could really win MVP, like Allen, Mahomes, probably
Burrow.
You could put Herbert, Burrow, Hurts. Lamar, I'm probably blanking on like 1 or 2 other. I don't think Rodgers will get a 5th one, even if the Jets do good. Tua, I guess, is a real dark horse, but I just think I don't know about that.
Talk about plus 5,000.
Unless he puts up a statistical great season. But yeah, I think Lamar's like the 5th or 6th best option. I think he is the best. I mean, if you want odds, I think he's a worthy candidate to put some long shot money on them because I'm buying the Ravens, man. I'm buying the Ravens hype.
You like it? You like them? Well, you want me to give you the odds? I have them in front of me. I'll give you the MVP odds.
Sure.
Plus 600 at top of the list, Patrick Mahomes.
6,000, you mean?
600.
Oh, it is 600. I'm dumb. I was adding a 0 in my head.
Yeah, no. So it's plus.
I was thinking Super Bowl odds.
No.
I just don't know what I was thinking there.
No. Yeah, no, I got you.
6-1. So that's 6-1?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, now I understand. I blanked on that. It is next 0.
Okay, plus 700 is Joe Burrow. These are current odds. They're opening odds. They were the top 3 were plus 650 altogether, and that was Burrow, Allen, and Mahomes. All 3 of them had opening odds the same. The current odds, Allen's at plus 750, so he's 3rd on the list. Jalen Hurts.
Somehow after last night, Allen got worse and Mahomes got better.
I guess so. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway,
I guess people saw the situation and were like, I guess that's a what's it called storyline that's going to happen for Mahomes. I mean, I guess that makes some sense. I guess
so. But next after Allen is Justin Herbert at plus 1,100, and then Jalen Hurts plus 1,100, and then Lamar Jackson plus 1,400. After Lamar Jackson, it's T-Law, Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, I forgot about T-Law. He has a chance. Especially
and then it's Rodgers, Tua, Prescott, Fields. So we lose it after Trevor Lawrence. But yeah. I mean, I think any of those guys have a decent shot, especially the Jags. I mean, they showed up last year, absolutely embarrassed the Chargers in the playoffs. So I think, I think there's a genuine chance, especially with their division. They've got a nice spot,
especially they could be number 1 in the AFC. So talking about divisions, let's start in the NFC and then let's go AFC and then we'll make our final 4 predictions and then Super Bowl predictions and all that jazz. So in the NFC, let's start with the NFC East.
Okay.
I have supposedly America's team, the Dallas Cowboys.
I would probably go there as well. I mean,
it's between them and the Eagles.
I just think I like the Eagles running it back, but at the same time, I kind of want to take the dark horse here, Dom. I really do.
Who's the dark horse?
I think I kind of want Major Tutty and Sam Howell. I think they surprise.
Oh, God.
I think I'm going like way off the board on that, but I'm taking the Commanders. I think they're gonna rally this season. Ron Rivera is actually gonna know certain rules that he didn't in press conferences last year, and I think they'll have it. I think again. Talk about going balls to the wall on a pick. That's what this is. Just crazy, but I'll do it. I'll do it.
I respect it. I just think the Cowboys have a very talented roster, and I think this is the year they put together.
They get rid of Dak and put Trey Lance in because he got traded there without anyone knowing but Jerry Jones. Yeah,
no,
it's perfect.
We're not going to do that. But I like Dallas this year a lot, especially defensively. I think as long as Dak is solid and consistent, more 21 deck than 22 deck, I think they're going to win the division.
Yeah.
It's going to be close, though. It's going to be probably the most competitive division. The North. I'm going Go Pack Go. I already said it, so.
Yeah, I would probably – I like the Lions. I'm going Lions for the North. I think the Lions win it. I would love to see the Vikings do it, but I don't think they're going to do as well as they did last season. I really don't. I love Kirk Cousins, I like. I really do. But I think the Lions are going to do it.
The Vikings overachieved last year, and I like the Lions too. But I do have to say, the lack of vertical speed on the offense is very concerning. I know they have Jameson Williams, who's serving a 6-game suspension, so he has 5 more games left. It's a nice win in Kansas City. Like, there's no doubt. Defensively, I was very impressed by them.
Yeah.
But it felt more like, as we talked about, like Kansas City kind of lost that game more than they won. So I don't really know how I feel. And Jared Goff looked kind of. I mean, he just has someone. He's solid. He's just the definition of solid. Like he has limitations, but he's like
he's a good quarterback in a decent system. Like that's what he is. Like he's not going to make a play by himself like these other quarterbacks are. You know what I mean? He's got to have the guys around him.
Agreed.
All right, so you want to do NFC South next?
Everyone's favorite division. I mean, highly competitive because they're all terrible teams.
Yes.
Yeah. This is a tough division, but I'm going to pick. This is tough. I'm going to pick the Falcons.
Talk about a pig race. I think that's what this is.
I just have no faith. I have no faith in the Panthers just because I just don't trust that team.
I'm going to take Derek Carr and the Saints. I think that's what I'm taking.
Yeah, I guess that team has, but I don't know. That team, I don't know. It's just all bad. I think Tampa has a really good defense, but I don't trust Baker.
You got Baker Mayfield, yeah.
Not the biggest Derek Carr guy, but they're probably the favorites. But I'm going to go underdog. I think the Falcons, I don't love Desmond Ridder, but I think if he could become a game manager in year 2, I think their defense is going to be improved. And I love their weapons. I mean, one of these days they're going to learn how to use Kyle Pitts, but Drake London, I think, is a stud. And I'm a big fan of Bijan. And they also, as we've talked about in the offensive rookie years, like they have good backs and they have a good offensive line too. So I really like their offense, and I think their defense is going to get good enough where they'll limp in like 8 and 9.
Okay. All right. So I have the Saints. You've got the Falcons for the NFC South. NFC West, I got the 49ers winning it. I have the 49ers.
Yeah, I got the Niners too. I think the Seahawks are going to make the playoffs. I think the Seahawks are going to push them because I think it's a 2-team race because I think the Rams and Cardinals are both going to be competing for Caleb Williams. But
yeah,
I got the Niners. I just think they're too talented across the board. I think the only thing that would concern me would be if Brock Purdy somehow just like craps the bed and all of a sudden you're getting Sam Darnold starting games. I think that would concern me, but I just think with Shanahan's offense, it's kind of impossible to really fail. And with that defense, especially getting Bosa signed, it's just too good.
Burrow got some money yesterday too. Did you see that?
Yeah, that was cheeky, man. Doing it right at kickoff. What a loser organization. Sorry.
I know. Trying to, their team was only good when it was full of, like it was. I don't know. I'm not even gonna go.
No, they're still good, but it's just that was a loser move.
It's just like you're pulling the attention all to yourself. Little attention, whatever.
Move, but
we move on to the AFC.
Going to the AFC. All right, the East. Let's just do the East.
We're both Bills.
Now, okay. I guess we should do something a little bit different here because this is we're a Bills podcast. Let's do the actual final standing. So I think it's going to be Bills.
I got Bills, Jets, Dolphins, Patriots. I think that's what it's going to be.
I flip them and put the Dolphins ahead of the Jets.
You think so?
I just think the Dolphins' offense is going to be really good, and I think their defense with Fangio is going to be good. But I'm really concerned for the Dolphins. If I was a Dolphins fan, which I'm not, but their defensive depth I think is an issue, which would concern me against the Jets. Like those two are close. I think the Pats are going to be like 7-10. Like they'll be solid, but like. I just don't think the Pat. I mean, like especially with the Juju news about his knee potentially exploding. I think that just like
yeah.
The vibes on also with Bill breaking up with his girlfriend. I think the vibes on that team is just not too high.
Yeah, no, yeah, I understand there. Yeah, I mean that's the AFC East for you. Now we have the AFC North. We'll go to the North next. I think it's going to be the Bengals easily. I feel like that's
don't disrespect my I don't know even my Ravens, but the Ravens are going to win that division.
I would love to see it. I really would. I'm going with last year's stats pretty much. So if the Ravens win it, I mean, I would love that.
what I like about the Ravens is the Ravens to Joe Burrow are very much what the Jets are to Josh Allen. Like Joe Burrow struggles. Now 2 years ago he didn't. He torched them, but last year he struggled mightily against the Ravens. They still have that elite defense coming back. Lamar playing my MVP pick. Come on now. With all those weapons, like I think they can compete, and I think they beat the Bengals early in the year with Lamar healthy. They lost a close game at the end, the last game, and then the wild card game, like they gave them like the run for their money with Tyler Huntley, and if he doesn't screw up that goal line play, like they might win the game. So give me the Ravens, man. Give me some respect for the Ravens.
All right, I like it. I hope it happens. I really do. AFC South.
We could skip this one. We're both picking the Jags.
All right.
All right.
AFC West.
That one's like the South divisions are both trash.
Yeah.
Trash.
Well, I got a doozy for you in the AFC West. You ready for this?
Yeah, the Kansas City Chiefs.
That's you?
Mm-hmm.
Not me.
I know it's not you because you said you have a doozy, so that means you're not going to pick the Chiefs.
Herbo's going crazy this year. Justin Herbert and the Chargers are number one.
The Chargers are just so wait and see for me. I feel like this is the year where they finally have enough talent. I mean, they're going to have so much dead cap next year or whatever, but they definitely do have the talent where it's like competitive with the Chiefs, but they just never seem to. I'm sorry, but
they have a new
chokers.
offensive coordinator though. They
They're
got rid of Joe
chokers.
Lombardi.
I mean, they just choke consistently. I mean, you saw in the playoffs, every time against the Chiefs, they have him on the ropes and they choke it away. But I am excited for Kellen Moore. I think he's like Lamar getting a new offensive coordinator, Herbert getting a new offensive coordinator. Like I was very close to picking Herbert for MVP, but I think the Chargers will make the playoffs. I just can't pick against the Chiefs. I feel like that's just bad faith.
Maybe it is, but I mean, I have a Chargers fan very close to me and my brother, so I'm doing it for him at the same time. So, and I think with their new OC, I think you get Joe Lombardi out of there, the choking kind of stops. I think they're going to do some good. So, you ready for some Super Bowl predictions?
Yes, sir.
What's yours?
My Super Bowl prediction will be, well, should we do AFC NFC Championship game then do Super Bowl?
Oh, you want to do the Final Four and then the Super Bowl?
Yeah, Final Four, yeah. So in the AFC, it will be the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens.
Okay.
And then
don't tell me you have the Ravens winning the Super Bowl, please. Please.
In the NFC, I have the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay.
And then I have Bills, Cowboys. Bills winning MVP, Super Bowl MVP. Josh Allen.
Like okay. All right. I figured that's where it's going to go. All right. So.
Do you like that dramatic pause? Oh, come on. You got to give him.
No, that was a dramatic pause. I like it. I'll give you a little golf clap for that one.
Thank you.
I think it's going to be Bills Chargers in the AFC Championship. Bills overtake. Move on to the Super Bowl. I think it's Niners Eagles. Run it back. Okay. Brock Purdy doesn't get injured. Doesn't tear his UCL. He cuts them up. They go crazy. Nick Bosa sacks Geno Smith 8 times in this game. Okay. Goes wild. Niners move on. Bills Niners. One of the biggest defensive bouts in a Super Bowl out there. Two top 5 defenses going at it. Offenses. Mr. Irrelevant versus Josh Allen, the MVP that was just named. Okay. I think the Bills win it, but I think it's a close defensive duke out. So I think Josh Allen's the X factor in that game and then wins Super Bowl MVP for rushing 195 yards. So
very specific.
Very specific. But yeah, Bills, Niners, Bills on top. So I think this is the year for the Bills. I mean, the team's built. I know we've said this is the year. I feel like it's kind of it's redundant at this point. But I feel like with the way they're built this year, they're built to go the distance. You know, they've trained like Rocky Balboa. They've run up the steps. They're hopping all over the place. They're excited. They're ready to go. 16 games in the season, 17 games in the season. Sorry, I was back a few years with 16. 17 games in the season. They're ready to cook. And I think we're in for a great NFL season. It's good that it's back. And betting on the Bills, catch us every Friday. We'll be doing this. It'll be coming to you Friday evenings. So hope you enjoy it. Let us know, like I said, your picks. In the episode description, we'll have ways to get in touch with us. So just send us a message and let us know. And Dom, you got anything else? Any closing remarks you want to make before we finish the first episode of Betting on the Bills for the season?
Go Bills and beat those Jets.
Go Bills.